Sometimes scary crimes happen in South Korea too, and today I'll tell you about one of them. This group secretly built a sort of prison and planned to torture and kill people there, and they actually carried it out. But one mistake turned everything upside down. It went badly for them and ended up being good for other people. Before we get into it, like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Like I said before, we're trying to keep the number of casual viewers down, so your subscription helps. Now switch your brain to universe mode, because out in space no one's going to interrupt you while you watch this. The gang had 6 members, a leader, his right-hand man, and 3 regular operatives. The oldest member was only 26, the rest were between 20 and 22. In short, these were very young criminals. From the outside their house looked normal, but inside it was horrifying. The first floor was ordinary living space, the basement was a full-on killing factory. They'd built crude prison cells, had a furnace for burning bodies, and stored weapons, axes, knives, even more than 20 sticks of dynamite. When police arrested them, officers were convinced the gang could have blown the place up and destroyed all the evidence if they wanted to. So why did they form a gang? Their targets weren't random poor people, they aimed at rich families. At the time South Korea was in a period of rapid economic growth, and much of the economy was controlled by big family-run conglomerates. These families were wealthy, their kids grew up driving fancy cars and living in luxury. The gang members, by contrast, came from poor families, missed out on education, and felt left behind by society. The leader thought he was smart, maybe even one of the top students in class, but his family had no money, so he couldn't go to college. Seeing others with money and comfort convinced him the world was unfair. He recruited other young people in similar situations and formed the gang. Their slogan was simple: "We don't like the rich. Traitors to the group should be killed. Don't trust women, not even your mother." At first there were 7 of them. They pooled money, bought a house, and in the basement built several cells and a burning setup for bodies. They planned to extort huge sums. They aimed to collect what would have been the equivalent of $1 million at the time. The plan was to kidnap wealthy people and extort money from them. To test the group, the leader arranged a trial mission. They would kidnap a woman who'd just gotten off a bus and rough her up to see how prepared everyone was. He gathered the members and showed them how to torture and kill, even demonstrating strangulation. In that test the victim died. That terrified one member, an 18-year-old. The others seemed willing to carry on, but the 18-year-old tried to leave the gang. He ran and hid at a relative's house. The gang found him, tried to calm him down at first, saying things like "Relax, she messed up our future," but he wouldn't accept it. They dragged him out and, tragically, killed him. So technically their second victim was one of their own members. They'd killed someone from inside the gang. What started as a test quickly shifted into real, full-scale criminal activity. In the 1980s and 90s there was a high-end car model called the Kranger, one of the most expensive cars of the era. The gang decided that anyone driving a Kranger must be rich, so they targeted people in those cars. But they sometimes picked the wrong targets because the Kranger came in cheaper, older models too. They ended up targeting people who weren't actually wealthy. So the gang brought 2 victims, a man and a woman, into the basement. They got the girl drunk to the point where she couldn't think clearly, then told her, "Kill your boyfriend or we'll kill you too." Even drunk, she refused. But, according to her, one gang member held the guy down and strangled him while forcing it to look like she was the one doing it. They made her feel like she was now a criminal with them. Now that she was involved, she wouldn't be able to go to the police. After that incident, they raped her. She later said she would be referred to as Lee because her identity is kept private in most reports. One of the gang members was assigned to keep watch over her at all times. He was almost never away from her. Sometimes another member would say they should kill her, but the one watching her insisted, "No, she won't tell anyone, we'll make her part of the group." Maybe he even started to like her, who knows? In the end, they decided she would replace the killed gang member. Basically they forced her into the group as a replacement. That choice would later cost them badly. 5 days after what happened with Lee, the members decided to find another victim. They stole a car called a Granger, a model similar to a Kranger, and even took Lee with them as they drove around looking for the next target. They came across an elderly Korean couple at a cemetery where the couple was preparing for the Chuseok holiday. The gang saw them driving and assumed they were wealthy. In reality, they weren't wealthy at all. The husband only ran a small business. The gang misjudged them because they didn't check properly. They abducted the couple on the spot. They brought the husband to the basement and told him, if he wanted his wife and children to live, he had to come up with $100,000. If he failed, they would be killed. He managed to gather $80,000 by contacting acquaintances. The gang watched this happen and said fine, they'd accept $80,000. They also warned him, go get the money. We'll be monitoring you. If you call the police, we kill your wife. So the man, Lee, and part of the gang got into the car and left to pick up the cash. He collected the $80,000 from a coworker at a bus terminal. Even though there was a police station nearby, the man said nothing. He was terrified they would kill his wife. When they returned to the basement, the members promised to release the couple, but not that day. The next day, around 6 p.m., the gang signaled to each other that the time had come. A little later they moved Lee to another room. When she came back, the couple was unconscious from alcohol. The members told Lee, you have to kill them. Just pull the trigger, this is your final test to officially join us. If you mess up, you die. Lee froze. If she did it, she would carry that guilt forever. Shaking, she pulled the trigger, but missed. The member supervising her grabbed her hand and fired again. This time the shots killed them. Lee later said she personally placed the bodies into the furnace. The gang acted outside as if they were having a barbecue to hide the smell. What meat do you think they were grilling? Yes, some of the victims' flesh. They even forced Lee to eat it. Lee had been kidnapped for 8 days at this point. She was constantly thinking about how to get out. Meanwhile, arguments started breaking out inside the group. One guy argued against killing Lee, others said keeping her alive was dangerous. The fight escalated, they physically attacked each other. Kim, the one who took Lee's side, got head injuries and decided to go to a hospital the next day. That became Lee's final chance. In the morning she asked Kim, can I come with you to the hospital? He agreed and said, sure, let's get some fresh air. That was a huge stroke of luck for her. At the hospital, Kim even handed her his cell phone and money to hold while they bandaged his head. It felt strange to Lee that he trusted her that much. She thought, maybe this is a test. Maybe the others are waiting outside. So she hesitated to run. But as soon as Kim entered the doctor's office, Lee bolted and ran. She jumped into a local taxi and told the driver, I've been kidnapped for days, I'm terrified. The driver's indifferent response freaked her out even more. She worried he might be in on it. So she got out, ran to a nearby big farm, and hid there for 8 hours. That night she used Kim's phone to call a cab and decided to head to Seoul. It was a 7-hour ride. Once she arrived, she went straight to a police station and told them everything. At first the officer thought she was high or lying. The story sounded unreal. Being held for over a week, people being killed, even cannibalism. Nobody had heard anything like it. Then Kim's phone rang. Lee told the officer it was one of the gang members calling. The police told her to pick up but not say anything. On the line came a single word, hey, Sudong, which was the real name of a gang member. Then the call was hung up. That was the proof police needed to start taking her claims seriously. While Lee was on the run, the gang actually waited 3 days near the local station expecting her to come back. They assumed she wouldn't go to the police because she'd been forced to take part in crimes. But police mobilized a special unit, trained officers who drove 7 hours to the town to arrest the gang. At first glance the house looked ordinary, a pink and green facade that could have been any neighborhood home. Inside, though, was the murder factory. During surveillance a young guy left the house and tried to drive off in a truck. Police chased and arrested him. He immediately began confessing, telling officers about bombs inside and warning them to be careful. That admission made investigators believe Lee's account. Police set a careful trap. Because the gang had dynamite and could have blown the place up, the plan was to lure members out one by one. Local officers called some of the suspects and told them, "One of your people has had an accident, go pick up his things." It was smart. If someone local had called, it would sound normal, and the suspects wouldn't be alarmed. 3 members came to the station in a car. One walked in and was arrested on the spot. The other 2 tried to drive away but crashed and were captured. 2 more members inside the house panicked when they heard the news and fled in their underwear. Police nabbed them too. In just about 2 hours, 6 gang members were in custody. The whole country was stunned. People couldn't believe something so horrific had happened in Korea. One of the arrested men said bluntly that he'd wanted to get rid of rich people who looked down on the lower classes, and demanded the story be shown on TV. In the end, 6 gang members were sentenced to death on November 2, 1995. Lee was acquitted of the charge of voluntarily killing someone. The court accepted that she'd been coerced. But she was left with deep psychological scars. 26 years later, she went public with a fuller account. She says she still takes a lot of sleeping pills, struggles with depression, and can't decide whether she was a victim or something else. She's also said she's facing cancer and is dealing with that battle now. They were executed, but the stain they left on that community remains. If this video hit you, leave a comment. If you don't know what to write, just drop Mr. M. Take care, folks. Goodbye for now.